Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Anya and today I'm going to be sharing with you my 33-week pregnancy update. Acid reflux is definitely here and it's here in full swing. Sunday night, actually, I had a really hard time falling asleep because I ate, I think, too late. And so every single time I would try to go and lay down to sleep, I would experience just, the upcoming of that food, and it was just not a good feeling at all. So I had to like sit up and wait for it to kind of cease, maybe about half an hour or so, and then I was able to lay down and finally fall asleep. But definitely acid reflux is here, and I think it's probably here to stay for the rest of the pregnancy. So I've also experienced being very, very, very tired, and I think that I've literally run myself out of any gas. I think that I was running on empty for a couple of weeks now, and it just hit the point where I just completely lost all gas whatsoever. So my son actually became sick earlier in the week. It was actually Wednesday afternoon when we realized he had woken up from his nap with a temperature. So I started giving him some ibuprofen, and I just was keeping an eye on his temperature. He was behaving okay, but slowly and surely he was actually beginning to kind of wind down a little bit more and more. Towards the evening of that night, he was still having a temperature, so I gave him more medicine and put him down to sleep. He didn't actually wake up at all that evening, and on Thursday morning when he woke up in the morning, he continued to have a temperature. It was somewhere in between 101 and 102. It actually never reached 102, but it was definitely a little bit above 101. And I was pretty worried because I didn't know where this had come from or what it was related to, but I kept on giving him the recommended dosage of the ibuprofen. And when he woke up on Thursday morning, I gave him his last dose because that was actually the last time he had a temperature. By that afternoon, he was acting back to normal. His eyes were like bright again. He was laughing, and he was, going around and playing around, and everything was perfect. Thursday evening, I developed a really, really intense sore throat. I spent all of Thursday evening and to Friday morning just miserable in bed. I couldn't barely sleep. I couldn't swallow properly. I was in so much pain in my throat, and I had a continuous runny nose. So Friday morning I woke up, and when I woke up I realized I had a temperature. So I started to monitor my temperature. I actually got up in the morning and decided, you know what, I'm just gonna shake it off. I'm gonna try to act like nothing is wrong. I got up out of bed early in the morning as I usually do, and I went into the kitchen, prepared myself a bread with some butter and something to drink. Well, when I was in the sink just washing all of my dishes from breakfast, a little bit of that breakfast actually came back up. Now, I've shared with you that I hadn't thrown up at all during my whole entire pregnancy. I don't know if it was related to the actual sickness or if it was the acid reflux situation happening, or if it was a combination of both things, but nevertheless it came up. I then realized, okay, there's no shaking it off that will do here. I need to go back to bed. And so I did go back to bed, and essentially I spent the whole day in bed. I did call my doctor about midday because I was concerned about all the symptoms, and I wasn't taking anything. I was just drinking water and trying to rest. And so I called my doctor, my OBGYN, and she recommended that I take Tylenol cold. So I said okay, and my husband went to go pick it up at the store, but when he was there were only 2 options available, and none of them were actually Tylenol cold only. It was like Tylenol cold max and Tylenol cold sinus, maximum sinus or something like that. So when I called the doctor to clarify which one she wanted me to take, and I told her, hey, by the way, remember I told you my temperature is at this level, she kind of just punted me over to my primary care physician, which concerned me a little bit because I was like, hey, you know, I'm not like just paperwork or a file. I'm an actual person and I'm expecting a baby. I would really like to have some clarity as to what the heck I can expect here. But I was just told to call my primary care doctor and to go from there. So okay, I did that. I called my primary care doctor, and she couldn't actually see me, but there was a nurse practitioner that was able to fit me in her schedule that same day. So I went in. My temperature at the time was 99.5, and she was also pregnant as well. She was 31 weeks pregnant, and I told her, oh my goodness, I really hope I don't get you sick as well, because I'm here and I'm already sick, and I'm like looking around like I don't want any other germs jumping on me, and she's just there being exposed. So I was really grateful for all of the time that she sat with me and explained everything that was going on and gave me all of her recommendations. She was so nice and so patient with me. So as soon as I went in, the person that takes you in before you see the doctor itself, she actually gave me a swab or did a swab test in the back of my throat for strep. And thank goodness that actually came back negative, so I didn't have strep. And when the nurse practitioner came in to see me, she actually said that it was too early to tell like which way it was, if it was viral or if it was an infection or what was going on. But since it was a Friday afternoon, she didn't want to take any chances, and she said, what I recommend that you do is take Tylenol, like plain old Tylenol, 500 milligrams, so that would be equal to like the maximum strength, every 4 to 6 hours. So 500 milligrams of Tylenol every 4 to 6 hours. And then she said to me, if the fever, if the temperature goes above 101, definitely call your doctor, your OBGYN, and see where, you know, what you need to do from there. Maybe she wants you to go into the office or go into the hospital or do something. If it does not go above 101 and all the way you can, you know, maintain no temperature until tomorrow morning, which was Saturday morning, then I was in the clear. But if I still had a temperature, even if it was below 101 on Saturday morning, I was to go into the pharmacy and get antibiotics. So I agreed to that. She said, you know, we really don't want to stretch this out too long and take any risks with the baby, which I completely agreed with. I did tell her that I typically prefer to go the more natural route and try all the natural remedies before I go in on the wagon of taking, you know, antibiotics and all the medicine stuff. She did recommend that I use a little bit of peppermint oil in my chest so that I could breathe it in and it could help me with the sinuses. And then also she recommended that I put a couple drops in the bottom of my bathtub when I was taking a shower so that I could breathe in that steam. She also wanted to give me something for my sore throat. I don't know what the name of the actual medication was, but when I asked her if that was only for symptoms and not to cure my sore throat, not to like get rid of it, she did confirm that it was just for the pain, that honestly there was nothing that they could do to get rid of the sore throat. So I told her, you know, don't bother, I could just deal with the sore throat and until, you know, I actually get rid of the cold itself, and it's fine. I mean, I really struggle even gargling just salt water, so imagine putting some other like foreign solution, which I don't even know, God knows what the heck was in there. So I came home Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I took my first Tylenol and I took it again at 8 o'clock. I took it again at 12 and I went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning on Saturday, praise God, I didn't have any more temperature. I did have a temperature all throughout Friday and into Friday evening. It was already coming down, but it never went above the 101 mark that she told me to definitely stick under. And when I woke up on Saturday morning and it was gone, I felt great about that, but I definitely didn't feel great with all of my other symptoms. So I continued to have a bunch of the other like fatigue, a bunch of the other symptoms that come along with having a cold. The baby, while I've had all of these things going on, the coughing, the sneezing, the temperature and all of that, she has been moving and been continuing to be very, very active, which is definitely one of the things that has kept me you know, with the least amount of worry. And I was gonna say worry free, but honestly, like, there is no worry free. Like, you're always worrying about your kid regardless. Even if I didn't have a cold, I would be worrying. So imagine now that I have a cold and a temperature and all that stuff, I was like freaking out about it. I've felt her move, and I have an appointment to go see the doctor on Monday, just my regular scheduled OBGYN visit. So I'm very much looking forward to going and hearing her heartbeat again and telling her about everything that went on, and hopefully she could reassure me that everything is fine. So overall, the week has been really, really intense, but I feel like definitely this week, especially towards the end of the week when this whole cold situation happened, has given me a clear sign that it's definitely time to slow down. I'm doing way too much. I'm trying to really like overstretch myself and be all over the place for a bunch of different reasons. I really need to make sure that I'm putting my health and my baby's health first. As hard as that may be, I think that it's so important to be selfish, especially at this moment of my pregnancy, where I am so close to the end and so many things could still go very, very wrong, that I need to watch out. I need to make sure that I am putting our safety first. And so I'm gonna do everything that I can to make sure that I actually accomplish that through the rest of this pregnancy and go from there. There was one little scare on Friday night that I wanted to share with you, and it's kind of TMI, so definitely like be warned. But we're friends, right? Like, hoping you'll forgive me for the TMI. So I was actually in bed and I got an extreme coughing attack. Like, I was just coughing nonstop. And in one of those instances when I coughed, I felt a little bit of like liquid come out from down there. And I thought, oh my goodness, what did I just do? You're putting so much pressure, like I mean, some people even can get hernias from that. Anyway, whatever. My mind just immediately went to my water just broke. I did have a little bit of peace knowing that, as I mentioned last week, babies that you know are born at this stage of the game have a much higher rate of actually survival. But I was still very nervous nonetheless. And then I immediately told my husband, I'm just gonna go take a shower and I'm going to keep an eye on this, watch out for it, and you know, see if anything else shows up. And if it doesn't, great. And if it does, well, we have to take proper measures. I mean, we were even talking about like, how long after your water breaks do you start actually feeling contractions? It was kind of like hitting us that like this could be a reality right now. But thank goodness that wasn't it. I plainly just peed myself a little bit, and that was everything. You know, that was it. I was glad. While it is kind of like uncomfortable and embarrassing that these things happen, the reality is that they actually do. You know, I'm glad that it wasn't what we thought it was. I'm glad it was just, you know, the embarrassing part of like, I peed myself. Lastly, on my symptoms, I just want to share also that sometimes my belly button feels like it's about to rip. Like, the skin around my belly button feels like it's so extremely thin right now that it feels like it's going to just crack and my guts are gonna like pour out of my belly button. I mean, it sounds gory and like extreme, but it's so true. My belly button feels so tight, and I'm only 33 weeks in. I still have at least, I would say at least about another 5 weeks to go for sure. Potentially the baby itself would grow more and the space in there is going to get a little bit more tight for him, but I don't know how much more my actual belly will grow. But TBD on that one. So let's talk about the baby's development. My app says baby is getting huge. She is between 17 and 19 inches tall. As I mentioned last week, Sebastian was born at 21. So because this is telling me that she's in between 17 and 19 inches, she's almost at full birth size. It's the size of a cauliflower blossom, and could weigh right now anywhere between 4 to 6 pounds. At this point in pregnancy though, there is a large variation between baby size, and it's harder to give an estimate for how big baby is getting. So essentially this is just a complete guess. I'm guessing that she's actually bigger than Sebastian, just because I feel definitely my belly is bigger, but we'll see. It also says that baby is almost at birth height and keeps on putting fat. Her bones are hardening so that she can support herself once she can rely entirely on mama. Like baby, you've almost reached the point where you don't get much bigger. Oh my goodness, this is music to my ears. This may come as a relief, as your added dimensions may be making some of your normal activities harder. Indeed. It also says that she is beginning to keep her eyes open while she is awake, so she can see all of the lovely sights in the uterus. Counting kicks is as important as ever, and can do a great deal to monitor her health. I definitely have to do this, folks. I definitely haven't done it at all, and I have to do it 100%. It says also that baby's bones are forming, and they're right now relatively soft, but they keep on hardening, and her brain is developing further and further every day, and she's almost ready to be born. And then there's also a little information section on how mom is doing. So let's see how that actually compares to what I'm going through right now. Having a bit of trouble getting around. Baby's apartment is getting awfully big. That's right. Yes, it is. Baby's apartment is getting big, and you probably aren't used to your new physical dimensions yet, so try to be careful of where you're going, or you might smack your belly into walls, furniture, and people. This has definitely happened throughout my pregnancy, so I'm not looking forward to it happening even more now that I am so towards the end of the pregnancy. It says also that most women also experience insomnia during their third trimester, between restless minds, restless hormones, and difficulty of finding a comfortable position to sleep in. This is actually not something that I've ever had an issue with, as long as I can actually fall asleep because I'm not experiencing the acid reflux. I am perfectly fine. And it also highlights what I was mentioning earlier. Sufficient rest is very important though, so try to get as comfy and cozy as possible, as much sleep is very much needed. So that is basically my whole entire super comprehensive update for this week. I hope next week is definitely not as eventful. I'm definitely on the road to getting a lot better, and I feel like even though I'm still sounding very nasally, this is definitely behind us. I can't wait to go to the doctor tomorrow and get the good news that the baby's doing perfectly fine, and I will tell you all about that next week. If you're pregnant, let me know what symptoms you're experiencing. How far along are you? How excited are you to meet your new baby? I would love to start a conversation with you in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.